Welcome 7th grade scientists. We're jumping right into this explainer today. And guess what? We're ditching the traditional textbook. Instead, we're stepping into an interactive simulation. For this evidence discussion on the interactions of life, you're not just kicking back and watching, you are active researchers. So grab your scientific notebooks because we're going to analyze real evidence and trace exactly how life and the environment constantly, and I mean constantly, shape one another. Let's do this. Okay, let's quickly lay out our syllabus of academic challenges for today. We'll start with ecosystem basics, move into energy flow, tackle population limits, take on the CER challenge, do a quick check for understanding, and wrap it all up with ecosystem balance.
All right, Section 1, Ecosystem Basics. This is our Level A challenge.
To unlock Level A, we've got to establish the basic vocabulary of our environment. Basically, we can divide everything around us into two main buckets. In one bucket, we've got biotic factors. Bio literally means life, right? So these are all the living things in an ecosystem: plants, animals, fungi, even microscopic bacteria. In the other bucket, abiotic factors. The prefix A means without, so these are the non-living things: water, sunlight, temperature, dirt, you name it. Your challenge here is to see the intricate web of those biotic organisms relying absolutely entirely on that abiotic foundation beneath them.
Moving right along to Section 2, Energy Flow. Welcome to the Level B challenge.
So now that we have our biotic and abiotic puzzle pieces, how do they actually interact out there? Well, it happens in three distinct steps of energy flow. First up, producers, like plants and algae, harness abiotic energy from sunlight to make their own food. Step 2, consumers, that's the animals, eat those producers to get their energy. But Step 3 is where the real magic happens. When those organisms die, decomposers step in to recycle all that matter right back into the soil or water, creating this perfect closed loop.
Actually, let's zoom in on that third step for a second, because it's just fascinating. A decomposer is essentially nature's recycling plant, breaking down dead organic matter into reusable atoms. And this brilliantly illustrates a huge concept for us. The atoms that make up the organisms in an ecosystem are cycled repeatedly between the living and non-living parts of the environment. Think of decomposers like nature's Lego builders. They take a fully constructed Lego castle, let's say a fallen tree, break it all the way down into individual base Lego bricks, and scatter them into the abiotic soil so a brand new biotic plant can use them to grow. It's a flawless system of endless reuse.
Next up, Section 3, Population Limits and Ecosystem Disruptions.
We've seen how beautifully an ecosystem functions when it's in perfect balance. But what happens when those delicate resource flows are interrupted? 50%. Just let that massive number sink in for a second. Half. In our mathematical rabbit population model, we track what happens when a thriving ecosystem suddenly takes a hit. When abiotic resources run dry, biotic populations don't just gently adjust, they can literally plummet by half, completely rewriting the entire food web in the process.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how direct and severe that cause and effect relationship really is. When we introduce the severe drought, which is an extreme scarcity of an abiotic factor like water, the impact is a drastic 50% population decline for our rabbits. Plus, a lack of food leads directly to increased competition among the animals that actually survive. This proves a super vital principle. The growth of organisms is strictly limited by access to resources. An abiotic deficit aggressively limits biotic population growth, period.
Let's move to Section 4, the CER challenge. That's claim, evidence, and reason.
Okay, time to level up and synthesize everything we've learned into one big systemic mystery. Here is your challenge. How does pollution in a lake reach a bird in the sky? Think about it for a second. The bird doesn't swim in the lake, right? And it definitely doesn't drink from the murky deep parts where heavy pollutants usually settle. So how on earth does an abiotic change at the very bottom of a lake affect an apex predator soaring miles above it?
So the crucial point is tracing our evidence step by step. Step 1, we start with polluted lake water, a clear alteration of the abiotic environment. Step 2, that pollution is absorbed by small fish, our biotic consumers. And the really bad news is those toxins stay trapped in their bodies. Step 3, those small fish are eaten by large birds, our apex consumers. Because energy and matter flow upward through the food web, that toxic pollution cascades right alongside it. The bird eats multiple fish, accumulating toxins from every single one of them until it becomes a massive problem.
All right, Section 5, check for understanding. Let's do a quick mental checkpoint.
Incredible work today, scientists. Let's just lock in that mastery before the final bell rings. First, you successfully unlocked level A by classifying living biotic factors and non-living abiotic factors. Boom. Then, you mastered level B by tracking exactly how energy flows and how decomposers recycle base atoms. Finally, you conquered the CER challenge by mapping how a single abiotic disruption cascades all the way up the food chain. You've successfully navigated the core interactions of life.
Finally, Section 6, Ecosystem Balance and its Real-World Impact.
For this wrap-up, I want to shift the tone just a bit. Parents, if you are watching alongside your 7th grader today, it's so vital to recognize the real-world importance of what your student just accomplished. They aren't just memorizing dry definitions from a chalkboard, they're uncovering the profound, delicate interconnectedness of all life and matter. The delicate balance, organisms, resources, and environments deeply influence one another over time. We don't live in isolation. Humanity is a part of this exact same food web, relying on the exact same abiotic resources and biotic cycles as the rest of the planet. Which leaves all of us with one vital question to ponder. If a single drought or one drop of pollution can cascade through an entire ecosystem, how will our next choice impact the balance of life around us? Remember, science isn't just about what happens in a lab. It's about the fascinating world right outside your window. Keep observing, keep questioning, and keep exploring that delicate balance. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time.